They say motherhood is a journey, but let's be honest, sometimes it feels more like a roller coaster with no seatbelt. I bet you're like me, wondering why babies, or teens in my case, don't come with instruction manuals. Welcome to This Incredible Mom Life, the podcast that celebrates the beautiful chaos, quiet wins, messy moments, and everyday miracles of being a mom. I'm your host, Dummy, wellness coach, mom of three boys, and a passionate believer that you don't have to live at the mercy of PMS, burnout, or exhaustion. Join me every week as we hear the craziest and most unbelievable mom stories. I'll be sharing the huge accomplishments and triumphs of both our moms and their kids. We'll giggle, cheer on the kids, and discuss obstacles and lessons learned along the way. If you are struggling to be the best mom you can be, how open-minded are you to booking a free call with me? You don't have to live at the mercy of your cycle, and you definitely don't have to do it alone. Give yourself permission to let me be part of your support system. I believe that you weren't meant to just survive motherhood. You were meant to thrive in it. It's another day for This Incredible Mom Life. I have another super mom guest with me today. Tateossian is a certified nutritionist, hormone specialist coach, personal trainer, and wellness mentor for women over 40. Thank you, Terry, for being here with me today.
Thank you, Amy, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Of course. And behind the scenes, it was third time's a charm that made it
There.
possible.
Oh yeah, no, we recorded, we almost were, so everybody listening, I want you guys to see what a hot mess my situation is, okay? I got on a recording call with at the hair salon thinking it was just a chat. My hair up in curls or whatever it was, with hair foil and all that stuff. So it was pretty funny.
Yes, but it worked out now and you're looking beautiful. So here we
Thanks.
are. Well, let's jump right in. Tell us who you're a mom to.
Yeah, so I am a mom to two teenagers at this point. My daughter is almost 19, and my son actually turned 14 the day before yesterday. And so we know one is finished with high school and one is entering high school. And so we're in that precious, turbulent, wavy timeline of being a human. And so it gets very interesting. I always used to say when they were toddlers that I would make a better mom when they were in high school than I did when they were toddlers and babies. And so I'm being put to the test, let me tell you.
Yeah, I have three teenage boys, so I'm in the same boat. And yeah, being a mom, it's not harder, but I think it's just different between the toddlers and the teens, right? It's just a different environment, different
Yeah,
situations.
no, I feel like I'm fascinated, right? Because they're in that age of individuation, right? So they are becoming individuals and they're looking for more independence. They don't want mom, interfering all the time. They want to be as opposite from mom as possible. And so it's a very, very it could be a time when we as moms feel a little sad, right? And we feel like they don't need us anymore. But in my perspective, the way that I look at it is this is the time they actually need us the most in these teenage years because of all of the things that are going on out in our current world right now that you and I did not experience these things when we were teenagers. And so it's so hard to wrap our heads around it. And so I feel like they need us even more.
Yeah. My kids, my oldest tells me, he's like, Mom, I wish I grew up when you did in the 90s. I'm like, yeah, well, it was a little different.
Yeah, us too, right? We
Yeah.
wish that they grew up in the 90s too. I mean, the things that I'm noticing right now are just so fascinating to me because I didn't go through any of these things, right? So they have constant digital connection, constant digital communication. Most of them grew up with some type of digital device from the age of 2, maybe, right? And so it's very, very different. Life is very different. Although they're always connected, a lot of times they feel isolated because kids don't go out and play anymore. You don't see, where are the kids, by the way? Like when you walk around neighborhoods, where are the kids?
Yeah.
They're all inside, right? Playing video games or computer games or whatever. And so it's very isolating, lonely, but yet at the same time they never get a break from being constantly connected. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's different world. But that's what it is. So let's switch on over and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So about 7 years ago, I switched careers. I used to be a digital marketing agency founder, and that left me in a very interesting place health-wise and not in a good way. And in the middle of midlife and perimenopause and menopause and all the messy things that come along with that, I decided to switch careers. So I started becoming more of a fitness coach for my friends and neighbors and family. And that took a life of its own. And then I started doing it professionally. So now I run yoga retreats at thehouseofrose.com, and I help women get their health back.
Nice. To talk about some of the health struggles that you had before you started all this.
Yes, I was 80 pounds overweight. I was still living in maternity clothes 2 years after my second child. My last child was born. I started having extreme panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I ended up in the emergency room twice. I was told to see a cardiologist, and still they couldn't find anything wrong. So they gave me a Xanax pill and told me to go home. And by the way, you're overweight, you need to lose some weight. I had, I think, 19 ovarian cysts at the time. I was pre-diabetic, and who knows what else was going on. All kinds of weird things. And I was entering early onset menopause. So my perimenopausal symptoms started at 37, and I completed my entire perimenopause journey at 42. And recently, I actually discovered that if you do have early onset menopause, that puts you at risk for a lot of different things. So cardiovascular disease, cancer, and all kinds of other things, unless you take actions to prevent that from taking place. And, you probably need to also consider hormones and how they're fluctuating a lot more than if you go through a regular perimenopausal journey. That was my
Yeah.
tip for the day.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Menopause, the weight, everything contributes individually to the risk of diseases. So it's just kind of a cumulative effect. So what was the turning point from that life to where you said, no, I have to get better. I have to take care of myself. What was the point that made you switch?
It was the second emergency room admittance. I, the first one I ignored. I was, first of all, way too embarrassed and ashamed to admit I had to go to ER, and that I mistook my anxiety or my panic attack as a heart attack because it really felt like it. It was very, very intense. And so I was really embarrassed. I didn't know how to tell my work, like, oh yeah, So I didn't do anything about it. And then I figured, oh, it's just a fluke, ugh, whatever. Just sweep it under the rug. Nobody needs to know about this. Nothing to see here. And it happened again. About 6 months later, it happened again. And this time I was convinced there's no way this is not a heart attack. The ER made a mistake. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm having a heart attack. I'm dying. No, I was having another panic attack. And so I had to reevaluate the possibility of this continuing to take place and taking me out of work for 2, 3 days at a time. Because not only are you in ER, you can't really do anything, but the few days after, you're coming off of this intense anxiety flare up, right? So you were just not in the right place. So I had to do that. And then, I was told I am 80 pounds obese and all the different things that were discovered at that time. And I had two small kids. So my daughter was 7 and my son was 2 at that time. So,
Yeah.
yes.
And I had the same thing. I ended up in the ER. Um, and that's when I decided, no, I need to take care of myself. I had three little kids at home at that time. Um, yeah, and mine also was they thought it was a cardiac issue. They thought I had multiple blockages around my heart, and the doctor, I was in the cardiology office for just a follow up, and he did the stress test, and he was like, no, no, you need to go to the ER right now. And I went, and while I was sitting there, I was like, I need to make some changes. This is not where I want to end up again. So yes, I can totally relate to that. Um, so
Scary,
talk
right?
about how you started making changes in your life and what things you started doing.
Yeah, so in the beginning, I try to wing it on my own. I try to figure it out. So I did what everybody does, right? I did what everybody out there does. You find the best diet out there at the time, and they're always different. They're like fashion statements, right? They're cyclical. They come back every decade. So this was I'm going to be 50 this year. So this was 13 years ago. Between 37 and 40 is when I had my experimentational stage, and I did everything you can imagine. There are over 30,000 books on diets on Amazon right now. Okay. So imagine type A, go getter, mom type, like, I got this, going after all these diets. And I failed miserably, all of them. They all worked for a while, and then I would get off of it, and the weight would come back with a vengeance plus some, right? So I would lose 20 pounds, and I would get off the diet, and I would gain 20 pounds plus some. Sometimes it was plus another 20, right? And so I just kept doing that. And I did keto, Atkins, South Beach, vegetarian, carnivore, vegan, vegetarian. I did them all, okay? And I realized like this is not working for me. And I finally reached out for help. I asked someone to help me who was a nutritionist and a coach and a fitness trainer. And that's when I got on the path of actual macro-based nutrition, which is what worked for me because it did not involve any kind of restriction. It did not involve cutting down my calories in a very severe, drastic way. There are phases when you're following a macro-based nutrition plan that involves reverse dieting, maintenance, building, cutting, all kinds of ways to manipulate the goal that what you're aiming for. And sometimes it's to gain weight. And the funniest thing I always say is, I went into this trying to lose weight, but I came out of this whole journey, and I'm still in the journey, right? Looking to actually weigh a little more. I want to actually have muscle now. I want to, the number on the scale is not really the thing I'm going for. I'm going for body composition. And so that's what I did. I reached out for help, and it changed my life drastically. It changed my life in an astronomically exponential cosmic way. And that's what inspired me to become a coach at the end of that experience is, wow, if I can do this, if I can get this kind of result, and I'm stubborn, I'm kind of slow, I don't pick things up that quickly, I'm kind of like in my own mind, if I can succeed, right? Wow, what a transformative experience. I want to help other people do the same thing.
Yeah. And I had a similar experience, right? Once I healed my own PMS symptoms and got rid of like all the cramping and the heavy bleeding and all of that, I was like, I feel so much better. And I worked with a coach too, and I had to like, figure it all out. But agreed, once you work with a coach, things grow exponentially. I say this all the time. Um, and I'm so glad you're feeling better. So now with all of this, you actually wrote a cookbook. So talk about your cookbook.
I did. So part of what I started doing was having these immersive in-person retreats where in 5 days we would go through a lot of these things that coaching provides. And so during those 5 days, we created a menu that was macro friendly, protein forward. It had tons of vegetables, fiber, avocados and nuts for fat. We discuss things like what is a vegetable starch versus, a regular starch or a vegetable carb, for example. And so differentiating all the different aspects of nutrition. I like to call it nutritional literacy, which is something that nobody teaches us apparently in school. I never had a class on that, but it's essential, in my opinion, in order to function as a healthy, balanced, well-rounded adult. It's the absolutely most essential aspect to living a healthy life. And so it's all integrated into the retreats. And so the cookbook came out of all the retreats. So, women would come and experience the food and want to know, well, how did you make it? What did you use? What's the recipe? And so we created a cookbook or a recipe book that's available on the House of Rose, and you can download all of the recipes that are part of our retreats, plus more. There's over 80 something recipes.
That's amazing. I love that you run retreats, and you were teaching women about that. And as a healthcare provider, I can tell you we don't get much training in nutrition. I thought I was eating healthy. I thought I was eating, lots of salads and this and that. And then I actually I had an advanced certificate in nutrition when I went back to school. And I realized that I was not eating enough protein. Same thing, right? I wasn't eating any healthy fats, too many carbs. Like my salads were empty salads, basically. And they were just, nothing, no nutrients in there. And so, yeah, I learned a lot about nutrition. So even your healthcare providers are not the experts, unfortunately. So I know you talked about both your book and your retreats. Tell us where people can learn more about both of those.
Yes, so you can find the retreats on thehouseofrose.com. So it's thehouseofrose.com. Everything is on there. You click on the shop button up at the top. You'll find the cookbook. You'll find the retreats. You'll find coaching. Everything is on there. You can also find me on Instagram. How good can it get? Because that is our motto here, right? Things can only get better and better and better the more information we have and the more we apply that information to action. Things can get better for us.
Yeah, amazing. So I will put all of those links down in the show notes so people can find you. Do you have any last tips, maybe for the woman who is overweight and struggling with some eating and doesn't know where to start?
Yeah, so start with your nutrition, and start with a little bit of walking, right? So it really depends on where you're at currently. So giving blanket advice is a little bit, not necessarily going to apply. And don't listen to diet books. Don't go on Amazon. Don't do what I did. I think that when you're a mom and you're really in the throes of motherhood in the very beginning, it can be very overwhelming. And so just finding some way to calm your nervous system down, right? So that would be one of the first priorities from my perspective, because if our nervous system is activated and we're in fight and flight all the time, it's very difficult to do any of these things, right? So, nutrition, I mean, I remember those days. What nutrition? You were eating leftovers from your kids' plates, right? Or you just shove whatever's around and just keep going because the goal was to keep going. And so it's very overwhelming. So I'm not going to give any kind of blanket advice, but truly, if there was one place to start, it would be to calm your nervous system down. Just find 5-10 minutes a day, to do some breath work, a little meditation, maybe a little yoga, and get your nervous system a little bit calmer so that everything else the rest of the day feels a little bit easier. And then you can talk about changing your nutrition and overhauling your fitness regimen and doing all these things. But while the kids are little, it's very hard.
Yeah, it is. I always say, just start with a few minutes a day of something, whether it's, prepping some vegetables or sitting in silence or doing some yoga or going for a walk. Like you only need 5 minutes to get started, right? So awesome advice. I love it. And if anybody needs help, reach out to Terry, reach out to me. We're here to help you. This was a great conversation. Thank you, Terry, for joining me.
Thank you, Amy, for having me. I had a blast.
Yeah. And in closing, remember, you are already an incredible mom, not because you do it perfectly, but because you keep showing up, growing, and learning. If today's conversation encouraged you, share it with another mom who needs to hear she's not alone. You will hear from me next week. Are you struggling to be the best mom you can be? Are you fatigued, overwhelmed, and stressed out? Are you losing precious time with your family because of PMS? If so, sign up for my free gift on how to start living in tune with your monthly cycle. The link to get it is in the show notes below. Use this guide to help you start to eliminate your symptoms of PMS, increase your energy, reduce stress, and fully enjoy this incredible mom life. The way I see it, you have 3 choices. You can try to figure it all out on your own. You can do nothing and stay where you are, or you can get the customized guidance you need to thrive as a mom. The choice is yours. Thanks for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something from these stories. If you enjoyed this show, please make sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast. It really helps this show grow. If you have a mom story you would like to share, click on the link in the description below on becoming a podcast guest. Remember, the content on this podcast is for general information only. It does not replace any medical advice given by your healthcare providers. Please check with your doctor if you have any questions about your specific condition and before starting any new diet or exercise regimen. Thank you, and you will hear from me soon.